Jake had just another routine day ahead, until a split-second decision changed his life forever. He risked it all to protect someone in danger, but was it the right choice? From being a hero to losing his job, Jake's life was about to take a turn he never would have expected. This video is about Jake's journey, the price of doing what is right, and now how one act of bravery led to a bigger story that he never could have imagined. Jake's alarm rang at 5:30 a.m., just like always. He turned it off quickly, careful not to wake his mum. She needed all the rest she could get. The apartment was dark as Jake got ready for work. He heard the city waking up outside, the rumble of trucks, the sound of buses, and birds chirping. "Another day, another dollar," Jake whispered as he put on his shirt and pants, the uniform for his job at Morrison's Luxury Watches in Sterling Mall. The mall was very different from his neighborhood, but that's why he wanted to work there. Just one expensive watch could earn him a week's pay. In the kitchen, Jake found a note from his mum. "Mijo, there's breakfast in the fridge. Don't forget your lunch. Love you," Mama said. He smiled and grabbed the burrito she made him. She worked late at the hospital, but still made sure he had a good meal. Jake wrapped the burrito and grabbed his backpack. He'd eat on the bus. The 47 bus came at 6:15 a.m. Jake climbed on and said hi to Mr. Washington, the driver. "Early bird gets the worm, Jake," Mr. Washington said. "Yep, that's the plan." Jake sat down and checked his phone. A text from Carlos popped up. "Hey, you coming to practice after work?" Jake typed back. "Can't today. Extra shift. Need the money," Carlos replied. "Man, you're missing all the basketball fun. Coach keeps asking about you." Jake sighed. He missed basketball, but his mom's health and the bills were more important. The bus pulled up to Sterling Mall. The big glass building shone in the morning light. Jake finished his burrito and fixed his tie. Time to sell some watches. "Good morning, Jake," Maria called from the coffee shop as he walked in. "Morning, Maria. Busy day?" "Always. Save me a watch, okay?" she joked, knowing neither of them could afford the watches Jake sold. Jake smiled. "Sure, right after I win the lottery." The mall was quiet. Jake's footsteps echoed as he walked to Morrison's Luxury Watches. The glass cases gleamed, filled with watches worth more than his mom made in a year. Mr. Morrison stood waiting, looking sharp in his suit. "Right on time, Jake. We have new stock. Handle the inventory while I set up the display." "Yes, sir," Jake said. He was good with numbers, and Mr. Morrison trusted him more now. Maybe if he worked hard enough, he could be promoted to assistant manager next year. Jake logged the watches into the system, doing the math in his head. The cheapest watch cost $33,000. His mom made $15 an hour. She'd need 200 hours, 5 weeks of work, to afford one. Some cost over $50,000. Jake focused on his job. He knew all about the watches and could explain why they were special. His teachers would be surprised by how much he knew about Swiss watches. The day went fast. Jake helped customers try on watches worth more than his family's rent. He made them feel special, just like his mum taught him. Respect for everyone, no matter their money. At lunch, Jake sat in the food court with his packed lunch, watching the shoppers. They carried bags from fancy stores and bought whatever they wanted without checking prices. Sometimes it felt like he lived in two worlds, the mall by day and his neighborhood by night. His phone buzzed. Another text from his mom. "Don't forget my prescription. Love you." Jake checked his wallet. The prescription would take most of his last paycheck, but his mom needed it. Maybe he could pick up an extra shift this weekend. On his way back to work, Jake saw a group of teens laughing and taking selfies by the fountain, shopping bags all around. For a moment, he wished he could be carefree, but he had responsibilities, and he was proud to help his family. Jake worked on some repair orders while he watched the usual crowd gather outside. People were shopping, security guards were watching, and kids pressed their faces against toy store windows. Just another day at Sterling Mall. But Jake didn't know that things were about to change forever. He spotted a tall boy, about his age, walking by, looking lost. Jake thought he looked familiar, but couldn't remember why. Just then, he noticed two men in hoodies walking behind him, acting casual, but clearly following him. Jake's heart raced. Should he get involved? He couldn't leave the store, but something didn't feel right. The boy looked nervous, and then it hit him. He knew who he was. It was Barron Trump, the president's son. And those men weren't Secret Service agents. Jake gripped the counter, his hands sweaty. The men were getting closer to Barron, who was too distracted to notice them. Where were his guards? "Mr. Morrison," Jake said, trying to keep calm. "I need to use the bathroom." His boss barely glanced up. "Make it quick, Jake. Busy afternoon." Jake's heart raced as he walked out of the store. He couldn't run. It would make people notice him. He picked up his pace once out of sight. Barron stood out, tall, well-dressed, but right now he looked scared. The two men were still behind him, moving closer. One had a tattoo, and the other had his hand in his pocket, like he was hiding something. Jake couldn't just grab Barron. It might get him arrested. But he had to do something. He remembered his mom's words. Doing the right thing is scary, but that's what makes it brave. Jake took a deep breath and walked up to Barron. "Hey, I've been looking for you. We're going to be late." Barron looked confused, but said, "Sorry, I lost track of time." Jake whispered, "I work here. 2 men are following you. Don't look back. Just come with me." Barron nodded, and they walked toward the service corridor. The men's eyes were on them. Jake was nervous, but he knew the way. They reached a door, and Jake used his keycard to open it. "Almost there," Jake said. He glanced behind them. The men were splitting up, blocking their way. Jake's hands shook as he used the keycard. The door clicked open, and he pulled Barron inside. They ran. "Where are we going?" Barron asked, voice shaking. "Security office," Jake said. "They can't follow us." They ran past workers, their shoes pounding the concrete. They reached the stairs, and Jake hurried down with Barron. The door to the security office was ahead. Jake shouted, "Help! Security!" Guards rushed out, and the men chasing them stopped, retreating up the stairs. In seconds, Secret Service agents appeared. "Are you okay?" one of them asked Barron. "I'm fine." "He helped me," Barron said, pointing to Jake. Jake was surrounded by agents. "I saw those men following him," he said. "I work here, you can check." The agents nodded. "We'll need to talk to your boss." Jake's stomach dropped. "I need to let him know where I am. I could lose my job." "We'll inform him," the agent said. "Now, tell us everything you saw." Jake was led into an office. As he looked around, Barron mouthed, "Thank you." Jake sat in a hard chair while agents asked him the same questions over and over. What had he seen? Why did he help? How did he know about the service corridors? He told the truth each time, trying not to think about what Mr. Morrison would say when he found out Jake had left his post. After what felt like forever, they let him go. An agent led him upstairs to Morrison's luxury watches. The mall was quieter now, and Jake realized it was almost closing time. Mr. Morrison was waiting, his face hard to read. "I need to see you in my office," he said, his voice cold. Jake followed him to the small office at the back of the store. He knew what was coming. He'd broken the biggest rule: never leave the store alone. It didn't matter that he had a good reason. Rules were rules. He thought about his mom, the bills at home, her medicine. What would he say to her? Mr. Morrison shut the office door and turned to face him. "Jake, we need to talk about today." Jake's stomach dropped. The small office felt warm and cramped. He saw the last customers leaving as the mall began to close. "The Secret Service agents explained what happened," Mr. Morrison said. "They said you helped stop a dangerous situation." Jake's heart lifted a little. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. But Mr. Morrison's voice grew serious. "You left the store alone for over 45 minutes with over $2 million worth of merchandise on display." "Sir, Jake started to explain, but Mr. Morrison held up his hand. "Store policy is clear, Jake. No employee can leave their post without proper coverage. Not for any reason." He sighed. "We went over this in your training." Jake's throat felt tight. "But sir, I saw someone in danger. I couldn't just... You could have called security. You could have alerted mall management. You could have done a lot of things without leaving your post." Mr. Morrison pulled out a form from his desk drawer. "I'm sorry, Jake, but I have no choice. We have to let you go, effective immediately." The words hit Jake like a punch. Fired. No more job. No more paychecks. "Please, Mr. Morrison." Jake's voice broke. "My mom, we need this job. I promise, nothing like this will ever happen again." "My hands are tied," Mr. Morrison said. He pushed the termination form toward Jake. "Insurance is strict. If anything had been stolen while you were gone, the store wouldn't have been covered. I could lose everything." Jake stared at the form, his eyes blurry. All he could think about was his mom's face when he told her. the medical bills, the rent due next week. You'll get your final paycheck by mail, Mr. Morrison said, his voice softer. And Jake, for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing today. I'll give you a reference for your next job, just not one with security or valuable merchandise. The walk home felt long. Jake had missed his bus while being questioned by the Secret Service, and he didn't have money for a ride. His phone buzzed. A text from his mum. "Did you pick up my prescription?" Jake stopped. Panic hit him. He'd forgotten about the prescription. The pharmacy was closed and he didn't have money for it anyway. Not after losing his job. "Sorry, Mama. Pharmacy's closed. I'll get it tomorrow." He hated lying to her, but he couldn't tell her he'd lost his job. Not like this. Not over text. Their apartment looked grey in the fading light. As he climbed the stairs, he smelled dinner. Probably Mrs. Rodriguez in 3B making her famous enchiladas. Normally, the smell made him hungry. Today, it just made his stomach hurt worse. His mum was sitting at the kitchen table in her work uniform, holding a piece of paper. She was crying. "Mama!" Jake rushed to her side. "What's wrong?" She quickly wiped her eyes. "Oh, mijo, I didn't hear you come in." She tried to hide the paper, but Jake saw the hospital letterhead. "It's nothing," she said. "Just some work paperwork." "Mama, please," Jake said, sitting next to her. "Tell me what's wrong." She handed him the paper. It was a medical bill. A big one. The amount at the bottom had more zeros than Jake had ever seen. "The insurance won't cover it all," she said softly. "The doctor says I need more tests." Jake felt like he couldn't breathe. Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you. "We'll figure it out, Mama," he said. "I'll work more shifts, maybe ask for a raise." The words stuck in his throat. He didn't have a job anymore. The job he needed most, gone. His mum saw something in his face. "Jake, what's wrong?" Jake couldn't keep it inside anymore. He told his mom everything. Barron Trump, the men running through the corridors, the Secret Service asking questions, and being fired. The kitchen was quiet, with only the sound of traffic outside. Jake couldn't look at her. He felt like he had failed. He chose to help someone over their safety. But his mom held him close. "My brave boy," she whispered. "You did the right thing." "But Mama, the bills, your medicine." "We'll figure it out," she said. "God never gives us more than we can handle." Jake wanted to believe her, but the unpaid bills made it hard. No calls from the White House, no thank you messages, no new job. Just another kid who lost his job for doing the right thing. Then the phone rang. The number was blocked. Jake almost didn't answer, but he did anyway. "Hello?" a deep voice asked. "Is this Jake Martinez?" "Yes." "Hold on." Jake's heart raced. He glanced at his mom. Then a familiar voice came on. "Jake, we need to talk about what happened at the mall." Jake's hands shook. He knew that voice. It was James Cooper, the head of the Secret Service. "Yes, sir," Jake answered. His mom stared at him, asking silently, "Who is it?" "We're sending a team to your place," Cooper said. "They'll be there in 10 minutes. Jake's heart pounded. Was he in trouble for helping Barron? "Am I in trouble?" he asked. "No, son," Cooper said. "Stay in your apartment. We'll explain." The line went quiet. Jake lowered the phone and told his mom. "The Secret Service is coming." She panicked. The apartment's a mess. Jake smiled, though he felt nervous. His mom always worried about the mess. 10 minutes later, 3 agents knocked. They showed their badges. "Mrs. Martinez," Agent Rodriguez said, "can we speak with your son alone?" His mom stood firm. "My son is 16. You talk to him in front of me." The agents agreed. They all sat down. Agent Chen opened a laptop. "Jake, we'll show you some footage from the mall. Please confirm what you saw." The screen showed Jake's encounter with Barron and the chase. He could even see the worry in his own eyes. It was late when the agents finally left. Jake's mom hadn't said much. He could see she was pale. "Mama, you need rest," he said. "You have work tomorrow." She shook her head. "I'm staying. I'm not leaving you after what they told us. But we need the money." "Money isn't everything, mijo. Your safety comes first." Jake couldn't sleep. His mind raced. Danger, criminals, bodyguards. It felt like a movie, but it was real. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Jake's hand shook as he answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice said, "I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm with the Washington Post. We're covering the mall story." Jake hung up. Minutes later, his phone buzzed again. Then again. Finally, one message came. 6 words. "You should have minded your business." Jake shook as he sent the screenshot to Agent Rodriguez. "We traced the message," Agent Rodriguez said. "It's from a burner phone. Are you okay?" "Yeah," Jake lied, trying not to wake his mum. "I'm just having trouble sleeping. That's normal. Things will get worse tomorrow. The story's gone viral." "What do you mean?" "Check your social media. But don't respond. We'll talk in the morning." Jake opened Instagram. His account was flooded. The mall footage was everywhere. Jake the hero was trending. Posts popped up. "Boy lost his job saving the president's son." "RT to help him get it back." "Who fires a hero?" "Boycott Morrison's watches." "Jake Martinez is America, doing the right thing no matter what." Jake felt dizzy. How had this happened so fast? The sun had barely risen when someone knocked. His mom rushed in. "It's okay," a voice called. "Agent Taylor here." They opened the door to find Agent Taylor, plus Agents Chen and Rodriguez. They quickly shut the door. "We need to move fast," Agent Chen said. The room grew silent. "Jake," Agent Rodriguez said, "look at these photos. Do you recognize anyone?" Jake glanced at the pictures. His mom suddenly grabbed his arm. "Mijo, that man," she whispered. Jake froze. He knew him, but it didn't make sense. The man worked at the mall. He knew everything, cameras, secret paths. He was also the one who fired Jake after he stopped their plan. A crash sounded outside. Sirens wailed. "Trouble," Agent Taylor said. "They're coming for you." The lights went out. Jake's phone buzzed. A message. "Finish what we started. Get down," Agent Rodriguez yelled. Jake's mum screamed. "Fire escape," Agent Chen ordered. They rushed down the fire escape. Jake helped his mum. Halfway down, a light flashed. A helicopter. "FBI." "This is the FBI," a voice called. "Drop your weapons. Keep moving," Agent Taylor urged. Almost there. They reached the ground as SUVs arrived. Secret Service agents rushed out. Jake saw James Cooper, the head of the Secret Service. "Get them in the car," Cooper ordered. Jake and his mum climbed in. They watched as FBI and Secret Service stormed the building. "Are you okay?" Cooper asked. Jake nodded. His mum squeezed his hand. "Where are we going?" Jake asked. "Somewhere safe," Cooper said. "And somewhere you'll get answers." They drove for an hour, making turns to avoid being followed. Finally, they reached a hidden place, a high-tech building with agents working at computers. "Welcome to our safe house," Cooper said. "Thanks to you, Jake, we've been tracking this group for months." Inside, agents worked on big screens. Jake could hardly believe it. They used the watch store to hide their crimes, an agent explained. Morrison was spying on wealthy families for kidnappings. Jake realized he wasn't training me. He was using me. "Exactly," Cooper confirmed. "When you stopped their plot, we got the chance to act." His mum asked, "Why here? Why not a regular safe house?" Cooper smiled. "Someone wants to thank Jake." The door opened. Jake stood. His mum gasped. President Trump walked in, followed by Barron and First Lady Melania. "You helped my son," the president said, shaking Jake's hand. "We owe you everything." Barron stepped forward. "You saved my life." The First Lady hugged Jake's mom. "Your son is a hero," she said. "We want to help." President Trump nodded. "We know about your medical bills, Mrs. Martinez. They're covered." "And Jake, I hear you want to help others." Jake nodded. "Yes, sir. How about joining our Secret Service youth training? You've earned it. And after, you'll have a full college scholarship." Jake couldn't believe it. His mum cried happy tears. The president smiled. "We've set up everything for your mum's treatment at the top hospital. We've even found you both a safe, rent-free apartment. It's like all your worries are gone." Jake felt overwhelmed, but one question stayed with him. "Sir," Jake asked, "how did you know the criminals would come tonight? How did you get everyone ready?" The president and Cooper looked at each other. "Here's the thing," Cooper said. "Someone inside their group tipped us off. They've been working undercover for years. They couldn't stop the crime themselves without blowing their cover. Jake got it then." "Wait," he said, just as the door opened. A familiar face stepped in, someone he saw at the mall every day. "Hi, Jake," Maria said. She didn't wear her coffee shop uniform anymore. She now wore professional clothes and held up an FBI badge. "Maria," Jake said, stunned. "I've been undercover at Sterling Mall for 3 years, investigating Morrison," she said. Jake's jaw dropped. Maria had served him coffee every day, all while watching over them. She smiled. "I blended in well. People trust the coffee shop worker. I saw everything, including you. You've always done the right thing." She sat down across from Jake and his mum. "I was worried when Morrison hired you. He used young people to spy on wealthy customers, but you cared about helping people." Jake blinked, remembering the day with Barron. "I saw Morrison's men getting ready," Maria said. "I couldn't act, but I knew you'd be working. I made sure Barron went past your store." "Wait," Jake's mum said. "You put my son at risk." Maria lowered her voice. Jake was never alone. We had agents watching him all the time. The president cleared his throat. "Agent Ramirez thinks you could join the FBI, Jake. What do you think?" Jake looked at his mum. "Could I think about it?" "Take all the time you need," the president said. "You've got a scholarship waiting. And don't worry about your mum's care. FBI has it covered." Jake's mum teared up. Jake couldn't stop his own tears either. Months of worry were over. Barron suddenly asked, "Dad, can Jake come visit the White House?" The president chuckled. Of course, after proper clearance. That night, Jake and his mum moved to their new apartment. It was secure and comfortable. Their things were already moved in. There was even a new laptop for Jake. Later, Jake got a text from Maria. "You know what made me sure you were special? The first day at the mall, when you helped the woman with her bags. You noticed her. Not everyone does. That's who you are." Jake smiled, looking around his new room. His mum's doctor appointment was set, and life was looking up. He was no longer just a regular student. He had been part of something big. His mum came to the door. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. Jake hugged her tight. "I love you, Mama." As they stood there, Jake thought about the hard choices he had made. He had lost his job, faced danger, and stopped a criminal plot. But he had also found his future, helped take down bad guys, and made sure his mum was okay. Sometimes the best moments come from simple choices. Being a hero is just about helping others, even when it's hard. And sometimes the most ordinary people do the most extraordinary things. Thanks for watching. Where are you listening from? Let me know in the comments. If you liked Jake's story, hit like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Until next time, remember, being brave can mean helping someone in need. See you in the next story.